You are listening to WOOP-LP, Cleveland, Tennessee. WOOP FM is a broadcasting service of the Traditional Music Resource Center, and we play America's original music.
Where'd the old town go? They moved it on north of here in the shopping mall.
Good morning and welcome to Old Town Cleveland here on WOOP FM 99.9, or you can go to the internet at www.woopfm.com. You can call us here at 614-5553, and my lovely co-host as usual, Deb, welcome.
Good morning, Ron. Today is March the 29th, 2014, and we're going to have a show today about maters, taters, greens, and beans. We're not cooking them today, we're growing them.
And things that should be growing here, right?
And things that should be growing.
Okay.
We have Kim Frady in, along with Johnny Arnett. We're going to be talking about perhaps the damage that the frost has done to the crops this year already, or maybe they didn't. We'll ask him, and he'll tell us all about it. And Johnny's going to answer your questions about native plants.
Every one of them.
Every one of them. We told her that the answer could be, I don't know, and that was okay.
All right. Johnny, what is a native plant? Explain that terminology for everybody.
Okay. Native plants are plants that existed before the European settlement. I like to say native plants are the ones that God planted.
There you go. Now give us some, are there still lots of native plants
around? There are lots of native plants.
Yay.
In fact, this weekend, the Chattanooga Nature Center they have their annual spring and fall sale. My husband's glad that I'm not able to go to the sale this year because usually I bring home more plants than I can plant.
That he can plant or you plant?
No, both. Well, usually I plant them.
Well, Ron was saying yesterday that he'd like to get some persimmon trees and some other things that would attract more wildlife to our house, although we've had more wildlife than we know what to deal with lately. And then he decided that the big problem is you have to dig a big old hole to put a tree in.
Yeah, that's. I'd want to find one of the small root ball, one like 2 inches, and I wouldn't have to dig as big as hole.
Yeah, it
right?
looked like a stick sticking up out of the ground.
Yeah, we just went through planting trees in our Master Gardener class Thursday, and he was talking about the size of the hole.
Yeah.
And it is hard around here to dig the holes because we've got so much clay.
Yeah, it's there's not as much dirt there as you could find a place. So, example of native plants. Give us some of those.
My favorite native, I like the woodland native plants, the trilliums, the jack in the pulpit. Some of the shrubs, the beautyberries, oak leaf hydrangeas. One of my favorite yellow native plants is a celandine poppy, and sometimes it will rebloom. And you've got your wild geraniums. The only thing that a lot of people don't like about native plants is they bloom in the spring and then they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't have to, you don't fertilize them. A little bit of mulch, compost. I like to compost my native plants.
Now our yard's pretty wooded around our house, and we have trilliums.
Trilliums are wonderful.
Now we have yellow ones. Are there other colors?
There are maroon, the wake robin, and there's the white one. It's a Trillium grandiflora, and I have several of those. I like to go out when somebody's building a subdivision and rescue plants. I'm a member of an organization in Chattanooga called Wild Ones, and they do a lot of native plant rescues. I love ferns, the native woodland ferns, because they're just so good.
So we have a lot of that around our house because we have some natural springs. And we have
that would be great.
So we have yellow trilliums. We have May apples.
Love May apples.
Are the two ones that you can see tons of them at our house. And the trillium, for someone's not familiar with that, it has 3 big leaves on it, and then in the very center it has a little, would that be a 3-leaf
bracket, yeah.
Yeah, it stands up, just a real small flower, and they're very majestic looking.
Some
I
of
always
them are
find-
fragrant, but
Are they? I've never
yeah.
noticed the smell.
One of my favorite places to find native plants is Pigeon Pocket down out of Chatsworth, Georgia. It's called Shirley Miller Wildflower Trail, and I take some of our master gardeners down there every year. I'm doing a trip on the 5th and on the 7th, and it's what's so nice about it's a wooden walkway that anyone's physical ability. I've seen people down there in wheelchairs. Things are blooming down there now. One of the things that blooms is the celandine poppy and the bluebells. There is a trillium that grows there called Trillium decumbens, and it's so cool because it grows flat on the ground, where the trilliums you're talking about, the white ones and the yellow ones and the maroon, they grow up on a stalk. But the decumbens, and I meant to bring my book, but to show you, but anyway.
Now tell me about that place again. Where is it?
It's out of Chatsworth, Georgia. To get off the interstate, you take Highway 2, go down to 193, all the way through past Ridgeland High School, through Chatsworth, keep on going over toward Lookout Mountain. And you turn left on 193 and go probably 11 miles and turn right on Hogjaw Road. You can actually put Hogjaw Road in your phone and find it.
Okay,
It's really
and the
cool.
name of the place is?
It's Pigeon Pocket, Crockford Mountain, but the name of the trail is the Shirley Miller Wildflower Trail. And I went I couldn't get anybody to go with me last Monday, and I went, and it's just a cool place. I could spend hours down there.
Now, if someone wanted to do landscaping, where would they buy this stuff or get this stuff?
You need to buy from a reputable native plant. Please don't go out, especially to the Tellico, Smoky Mountains. Don't go out and dig native plants.
No.
If someone is doing a subdivision, and you get permission, years ago I would get permission from Bruce Renner. He had some subdivisions he was building in Charleston, and I would go up there and rescue plants. But anyone can call the UT office, and they can give them my number, and I can help them find reputable dealers. The Chattanooga Nature Center this weekend, they're open. They're open all day today. They're having their sale all day today, and then tomorrow afternoon. And since it's raining, they may still have some plants left. So
I took Ron there last summer to tell him he had never been. And it must have been 115 in the shade, and he didn't enjoy it a whole lot. So we need to go back.
go
and it's a
back
little-
now.
Yeah, I could go in the rain.
And now, if you go this weekend, you don't have to pay the fee. You can do and they have lots of different tours to go on.
Oh, okay.
And they had a lot of flooding when we were there last
Yes,
time, too.
Yes,
Yeah,
that we went in right after that last big flood, and a lot of the walkways were not passable and stuff. But we enjoyed it.
It's a beautiful place because there's so many. Every wildflower that just about grows in every area you can find there. Now, I've never seen lady slippers there, but I probably just haven't been there at the right time.
So someone who, you know the names of all these plants, and someone walks in and says, I want that pretty looking thing that's out in the garden or out in the woods. The extension agency you can help them sort of find out what
if
they
they
are.
send me a picture, I can tell them what it is.
Okay. Kim, tell us about the office there, the extension office. Tell me what exactly that is so people understand that also.
Ron, basically the UT Extension is a component of the University of Tennessee College of Agriculture. There's 4 different areas. There's the Teaching College, Experiment Station, Vet College, and Extension. And we're actually the educational facility, I guess, of the university that gets information out to the public. And we do that. There's 4 different areas we do: family and consumer sciences, 4-H, of course, everybody knows about what 4-H club is, agriculture, and community resource development. We're kind of changing the name of that to community economic development because of all the different things that is associated that we might be able to help with.
And I think you help the farmers.
Absolutely.
Or people who are growing any kind of agriculture, just not farmers, but what if they're tree farmers or any kind of stuff that grows, you would work on it, right?
Absolutely. Over the years, our missions changed. We were originally developed to get agricultural research-based information to the farmers from the experiment stations. They did all the testing and everything on crops and fertilizers, and our responsibility was to get it to the farmers to show them that if they adopt this practice, they could make a greater yield, or cows would produce more milk, or they could make more beef, or just anything that was associated with research. Over the years, we've changed to where now we do a lot of horticulture work, and especially in urban areas like we're quickly becoming. Horticulture is a real big thing. Everybody's either wanting to make their landscape look real nice and real pretty, or they're wanting to grow their own food, which we're getting a lot of information, a lot of calls wanting information about growing food.
The information I want about growing food is, what's the difference between heirloom seeds and plants and just the plants I buy at the box store?
Very good question. Heirloom seeds are what we call open pollinated varieties. They are older varieties that are cross pollinated by those type of tomatoes or peppers or whatever that heirloom seed is. Hybrid seed, on the other hand, which is probably what you're going to buy, or hybrid plants that you're going to buy at the seed store or the plant stores now, are varieties that have been crossed to get different types of things like disease resistance, or maybe some insect resistance, or maybe a certain color or a certain shape or a certain smoothness to the squash, that the yellow crookneck squash, instead of being a little knotty rough thing, you can get a real nice smooth fruit.
They make it real pretty.
Yeah, and
now, can you take the seeds out of a hybrid and regrow the plant the next year?
I would not, because the reason you don't want to do that is it'll probably revert back to one of the parents, and it won't. A lot of times, it won't look like what that hybrid seed does. So if you know for sure it's a hybrid seed, then I would not. If it's an heirloom variety, that'd be great. You can do you can take seed from those.
I think the fascinating thing about seeds, they have found seeds, especially popcorn, I think, in like caves that had to be, they don't know how the seeds are, and those will grow.
Absolutely. There was a gentleman that worked, I believe it was Cornell University, when he started. He did his research with weed seed, and he took like 50 different varieties of different types of weed seed, put them in a little vial, and put them in a time capsule. Well, when he retired 45 years later, he dug that capsule up, planted those weed seed, and like 98% of them germinated and grew. So seed
amazing.
can last a long time.
Is all seeds like that, or is it just, or are there some seeds you just know going to go away?
There's some that do not store well, and you got to be real careful about those. Peanuts, for example. We don't grow a lot of peanuts here, but my dad used to always grow a row of peanuts in the garden. Well, one year he didn't save seed, and we had seed left over from the year before. The germination on those was about 20%. I mean, out of every 10 seeds, maybe 2 of them sprouted. So beans, the big seeded type vegetables don't store as well as small seed.
What about melons and
if you take care of them and put them in a cool place, a refrigerator works great. Put them in a Ziploc bag and put them in a fruit jar or something and set them in the refrigerator. They'll do real well.
Last year I had a cantaloupe. It was so good. I saved those seeds. I hope. I said, maybe I can't grow one that tastes like that, but that's a pretty good place to start, I thought.
It is, and it very well could be a hybrid seed of some sort, but it's worth a try. You may get instead of a round melon, you may get one that's, 3 or 4 feet long.
I really like the way they taste. I don't care how they look. Now, on the heirloom and the hybrid, which one makes a better tomato?
Depends on what your taste is, Ron, what you're looking for. A lot of folks, a real popular heirloom variety is one called Brandywine. That's one that everybody loves, and it's got a great taste and a great flavor to it. One that I found that I like is one called Cherokee Purple, and it is a really, really deep colored tomato it's got a unique flavor to it.
I bought one of those up at the Amish farm last year, and it never produced for me. I don't know, but if it had, the squirrels would have ate every one
I
of my
started to
tomatoes
say,
last year.
what
Squirrels.
we need is a cure for squirrels.
Yes, German pink's another one that's
Yes, I
pretty
had some
popular.
German pink. Yeah.
The squirrels would pick the tomatoes off of our plant, come to our back door where we could see them, and stand there and eat and look at us through the glass window, and just
All right. Good
playing
morning.
with
You're
fire, playing with fire.
You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Good morning, Ron Deb. How you doing?
Hey, Bullet. How
Hey,
you
Bullet,
doing?
good morning.
I'm just enjoying the rain. I got a question for your guest there. My uncle lived out at Prospect, and he could grow watermelons, and he used to carry water. He didn't have running water. He used to have to carry water from a creek. I bet he walked 50 times a day. And my question is, I'm going to try to start. Is it true that you can that your water you get on the city water is not best for watering things? Because it's got acid. I think our city water's got. I think it's got
Chemicals in it, yeah.
Chlorine.
and and I think you're supposed to grow in the sun and not shade. And
What's the best way to grow a watermelon and water them, Kim?
Full sun is always good, and that's not necessarily just true with watermelons. That's pretty much true with any plant. That full sun really, unless it's a shade-loving plant of some sort, and there's a lot of ornamentals that are shade-loving. But on the watermelons, yeah, the chlorine in the water is not really good for them. Now, what you can do is you can leave that water for a day or so, and that chlorine will evaporate, and so that water will be okay then.
10 fertilizer, is it pretty good for grass? Because I take care of the veteran cemetery, and I've been trying to get grass burr to grow, which is almost impossible. But I think the secret to grass growing is fertilizer and sun and watering. But I just want to ask your opinion on that 10-10-10 fertilizer.
10-10-10 is a very good fertilizer. It's what we call a balanced fertilizer. It's got equal parts of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And if your soil is in need of phosphorus and potassium, that's a very good thing to put out there. I know my dad, for years, bought fertilizer at Buford Wilson's General Store in Ocoee. Well, all Buford had was 6-12-12. That's all they could get. And when I went to college, I tested our garden soil, and Dad all he had to use was a nitrogen source for like 5 or 6 years. He dumped so much phosphorus and potassium on that garden that it was there. And normally phosphorus and potassium don't leach from the soil or leave unless a plant takes it off. Nitrogen, on the other hand, is different. It will leach from the soil. So what you might want to do is use 10-10-10 now, and then maybe do a soil test or something to see what the phosphorus and potassium level is. If you need more phosphorus and potassium, come back this fall and add some more, probably in September, October, something like that.
Something I have learned, Bullet, I've been taking this master gardening class, is that get the soil tested. And because, his example is they may be too much phosphorus already there, and you wouldn't want to put the 10-10-10. You'd maybe want some different, each one of those represent nitrogen or something of that nature. So you may just want to put nitrogen in there.
Where's there a place I can take my soil and get it tested?
We have that information at the Extension office. We're located at 95 Church Street Southeast. We're right, if you turn south on Church off of Inman, Meager and Meager Furniture
Where the old
joins
Chase used
us.
to be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
used to
the
be
old
Chase,
Appliances
Past
was on
the old
corner.
teddy bear, then it's the two-story building on the left.
Yep,
Okay.
right across the corner from
You got to give the teddy bear
Regions
reference.
Bank, I guess.
Teddy bear reference will get
Right.
most people there.
Yep, and
Well,
we've got
appreciate it.
the
Thanks a lot for
soil
your
sample boxes and the information sheets, and we can, it's very easy. You just fill that out and tell them what crop you're going to grow, and whether it's turf grass or vegetables or fruits or whatever, and they will send you a recommendation as to how much fertilizer you need. If you need limestone to balance the pH, they'll tell you how much lime you need to apply to.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Bullet. You can call us here at 614-5553. We've got Johnny Arnett, Kim Frady in here talking about native plants and anything that grows you want to call about today. They know it all here. Now, talking about shady plants, a lot of your, would you say a lot of your native plants would be shady, those ground plants? Because they're under the canopy?
A lot of them are. Now, there's several native plants like your black-eyed Susans and your coneflowers that are sun plants.
I love my
But
coneflowers.
And sunflowers, but I love, since I live in a shady area, I tend to go toward the shady areas. And the spring wildflowers are called spring ephemerals, and what this means is they bloom before the leaves come out on the trees. So you don't really have to worry about in the woods they're going to bloom before the leaves come out on the trees. But mine, I just keep mine in a shady area, like at the edge of the woods.
So if you were planting something and you wanted early, a little later, and then all summer, what would you plant in that?
There's not.
I mean, what would you like? What would you do?
What I like, first of all, are the celandine poppies, and the then a little bit later the wild geraniums come out. And the very first plant in my yard that usually blooms are bloodroot and trout lilies. So I know it's spring. The spring is here when I go out and find my bloodroot and my trout lilies.
Trout lilies have dots on them, spots on them.
Yeah, the leaves are really. I like them for just the foliage. You're good.
She ought to be taking the class.
She should.
Good morning,
I'm a
live on Old Town Cleveland.
Fountain of useless information
Hello,
sometimes.
Rod and Debbie.
Hello, Miss
Good
Ella.
morning, Miss Ella. How are you doing on
Still
this
planning
rainy
on going
morning,
to
sweetie?
California, but I got to wait and see what my doctor says Thursday, see if they're going to do any operation or anything.
Well, so we hope you get feeling better.
Well, I think it's a cyst underneath both my arms. So somebody said they just had a needle stuck in it and popped out. But I want to say something to somebody that called me at 12:30 last night. And I think it is Sid Bishop. I'm not sure, but it sounded like his voice. And if he ever does that again, I'm going to take his number to the policeman. I was sleeping so good, the best sleep I've had in a long time. And he called me at 12:30.
Well, why did you give Sid your phone number?
I don't know how he got my phone number. This is one of them government phones.
Well, was you drunk?
Huh?
Were you drunk?
No.
Were you?
Pokey's like,
Oh, you didn't go. I thought you were probably drunk and dreaming and all that.
no, I'm not going to Pokey's right now until I find out because it hurts too much. I can't even drink a beer.
Well, you.
Oh boy, that's painful, Miss Ella. When you can't drink a beer.
All right, Miss Ellie, you just
Take it easy, sister.
Next time the phone rings at 12:30, you know what you do?
What?
Don't answer it. All right, bye.
Bye.
Bye. Cracks me up.
But she didn't get drunk last night, so that's a bit better. I thought she might have been hallucinating or something there. You know, who knows?
I wanted
So,
to.
what was the 3 plants that you was going to do?
I like for a long bloom celandine poppy, and it will rebloom. And in the sunny spots, the black-eyed Susans, because they will bloom till frost.
Now, is flock a native plant?
There are several different kinds of flock. The flock that you see growing down low, that's a commercial hybrid flock. The flock that you see in the woods that's tall,
That's
is a
what I
native
saw.
plant. And I don't know if you've ever smelled flock, but it smells absolutely wonderful. There's a place that we like to hike in Gatlinburg, and it's down in a big hole. And you go down in there, and boy, it just smells like perfume.
I saw some up at Chilhowie Friday before last, and I noticed that it was tall and it's thin, but it's
Willowy looking.
It's pretty close to the ground for kind of a daisy looking something. I
Right.
mean, you know, it's kind of that same sort of looking flower, and I thought, you know, that looks
Yeah.
like flock, but it
It's
doesn't look like
woodland flock, and it's a really. I've had it before, and I'll take when I'm planting something, I'll just take stuff out and throw it down in the woods, and it's easy to grow.
What about buckeyes?
Love buckeyes.
They're native plants.
They're a native plant. I have bottle brush. The first one that blooms at my house is the red buckeye, and I love the red buckeye.
Those
and
are up against the church there at
Yeah.
our house.
And the bottle brush, the blooms are like
Yes.
12 inches long.
Now we have hydrangeas. I can never say that.
Hydrangeas,
How do you take care of those?
which the native or the propagated one?
Well, I kind of think they're going to be native because you can't kill them. I've tried to kill them.
Okay, they're. You want to kill hydrangeas?
Well, I went to this. It's just they're so ugly when they're not blooming.
Now, see,
And-
I love the natural.
We
look.
were going for a different look at
You
some
want
point
the
in time.
manicured look.
And I kind of
We got rid of one. We still have one, and it's continue to take over the world.
They're
What
gorgeous.
color is the bloom?
Blue, and they're
Okay.
huge.
Those are-
But I can't figure out how to
If
trim
you don't
them.
want them, call me. I'll come get it.
Well, I'm kind of liking them now, and I love them when they'll bloom, which they bloomed last year, but I can never figure out the secret code to getting them to bloom. If I cut those dead stems off, it seems like they don't come back and bloom, and if I don't cut, I don't know. Well,
I've got a good website that I can put you on.
Okay.
But I like to I propagate. My neighbor has hydrangeas, and I call her and I go down and take cuttings off of them and make babies. So
Well,
You're welcome
people-
to make all you want at my
You're
house.
welcome to, we give away a lot of the plants because people see them, and I put bricks down on limbs,
Oh, yeah.
especially a limb with a bloom on it seems to
Right.
do better. And these are some that Ron's grandmother planted. They're probably 40, 45 years old.
the key to that getting the bloom is get a young sprout, a tender thing, and I scrape it and it's called layering. Just lay a brick on it.
Okay.
And,
Yeah, that's kind of
and
what
you
we
need to do with a one that's pliable that will work good that way.
Right now, I need for it to bloom, the big bush to bloom.
And you can change the pH, and I can't ever remember what the pH. Do you remember what that is?
Well, my
That's what I
grandma
was-
always said that if you change the pH, you get a different color bloom.
You do.
You do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do
You
we
can
have a
either
caller?
go, and there's been lots of articles on that. So
So,
Well, I
sure
read a
wish I'd
whole
listened to my
article.
grandpa.
I read a whole article in Southern Living and did what they said, and it did absolutely nothing. So I don't know.
Good morning. You're listening to Old Town Cleveland.
Good morning, Ron.
Hey,
I wanted to tell Debbie about that hydrania.
Oh, go ahead, sister.
You do not trim them back. You do not cut them.
Okay.
If you ever cut them, they won't bloom the next year.
Well, this thing is as big as a car. I promise you.
Well, you just have to let it go.
Okay, and so you think it'll bloom? Last year's
You don't
rain,
cut
I
it
think,
back.
satisfied it.
If you don't cut it back, it'll bloom. But if you cut it back, it won't bloom.
She's cutting all of her blooms off. Isn't
I
she?
am, but I can't figure out where my blooms are.
You
Well,
have
they're
to-
in those dead sticks.
you have to cut them right after. If you want to trim them to get them to bloom, you have to trim them right after they bloom. So you're not cutting next year's bloom off.
Right.
Okay. Well, Red, you just come to my house and fix my blooms for me.
Hey, I can do it.
I remember the year that Ashley and I had the opportunity to go to Ireland, and we made our picture in front of the bush as a thank you note to the people that let us stay with them in Ireland, and that they were just absolutely fascinated by our big, giant, enormous blue bush.
Yeah. I've got 3 of them, but I've got them in buckets.
What color does yours bloom?
One's red, one's pink, one's blue.
Okay. I think blue indicates that the soil may be slightly acid.
Now-
If you want them pink, you have to add lime.
We
I
had
believe.
pine trees all over our yard, and we had really dark blue blooms then.
I believe that's the way
Yeah,
it
You know, a
is.
pine tree will kill everything.
Well, when we had the big blizzard in '93, we lost over 100 pine trees in our yard. So all of a sudden, we went from a very wooded yard to pretty clear around our house, and it affected our azaleas and our what's those other
rhododendron.
The rhododendrons. They were not happy that the shade and the trees were gone.
Right. I heard that lady mention lady slippers.
Yes,
I know where there's a woods full of them things.
really.
Yeah.
I don't believe I've ever seen one in the wild, but I'm kind of fearful of the bears, so I don't go out in the woods very much, Fred.
The problem with lady slippers is you can't dig them up and replant them because they have to have a fungus to grow.
Right.
Usually, if you find them, they're going to be in an area with a lot of pines and some kind of fungus.
That's true.
Well, Miss Red,
Just enjoy them in the woods.
there you go.
Thank
I'd
you,
like to
Red.
take some pictures of some.
Bye.
I like the little short irises too that you see in the Smokies. But
now those are really easy to transplant.
Oh,
The
okay.
crested dwarf irises. And there's a white version of that we found in Gatlinburg a few years ago.
probably 25 or 30 years ago, my mom went to visit relatives up in Franklin, North Carolina, and came back with a cone plant. And she gave it to me. And it blooms every single year. And then I bought a bunch at the box store and put around them. Well, those are gone now. They don't. They
What
don't.
kind of flower does it have?
It's blue.
I'd like to
Or
see it.
purple.
Take a picture and send it to me. I'd like
yeah.
to see that one.
It's
Because
really
different
nice.
things have different names.
Then I bought a foxglove, and I planted it. And Ron came walking up through there and said, "Look at that big old weed in the flower bed." Yanked it up, and I came out. And my foxglove was laying out in the middle of the yard. He got a lesson on wildflowers.
But we planted it back, and it really grew nice, and I helped it.
You just aerated it.
Yes, I did.
He grabbed it by the top of the head and threw it out
On the
the yard.
screen right now, that is ginseng. Now, tell me about ginseng. Why is it so darn, and why is it so...
It has
People sell those roots for unbelievable
and you
amount
can
of money.
get permits to dig ginseng. I've
Now,
never,
it's only at a certain elevation,
yeah.
yes.
There's one of the places we hike in Gatlinburg that we see people gathering ginseng. It's got medicinal value, and it sells. I mean, it's expensive to buy ginseng.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have any ginseng. I mean, well, we're not high enough to have ginseng.
There's a reality show on, I forgot what channel it is, but
There's not much reality to those shows, but
it's called Appalachian Outlaws, and they go and hunt ginseng. And they have battles and wars and people blowing up cars, but they'll bring in like a small grocery bag, and the guy will give them $1,800 for the roots. I'm going, maybe I need to go be digging some ginseng.
you know, that's one of the things, though, that those kinds of shows makes people go out and dig it all up. You have to leave part of the root behind so you get the next plant. That's what my dad always said.
Years ago, there was a yellow lady slipper on the road, on the River Road in Gatlinburg, and they did a documentary, and it showed this yellow lady slipper. Well, the next time we were there, and we knew where it was because we had always stopped and take pictures of it. And of course, it's gone. Anytime the yellow lady slipper is rare, and you just can't get people to understand that.
But you can't move them.
You can't move them. Just leave them alone. Enjoy them. Take pictures of them, and
But now, ginseng, so it's on the mountains here in Polk County? I mean, close.
Probably
It
is.
is, yeah.
I don't get to hike Polk County much by myself because the last time I did, I about fell in the river up by the
That
water
sounds
thing.
like me.
So I quit going out in some places by myself. But it's a beautiful area up the John Muir Trail. So I'm allowed to go hike on the lower areas, but I don't get up on the high areas much.
Have you
anymore.
been to Caney Creek?
Yes.
I did. I was there early in the spring one year, and I didn't see wildflowers, but then I wasn't looking for wildflowers. I mean, there were some few up on the hillside and stuff, and I love the river birches that are up there.
Yeah, this is my favorite time of the year, and I hate it that it's during tax season, and Ron can't ever go with me, but we do, after tax season, we go to Gatlinburg and do all the trails up there, and we've got several that we really enjoy.
I'd like to go see the Walker Sisters cabin.
Oh, it's wonderful. The Walker Sisters
That's out of
cabin.
Ron's family.
Good morning. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Good morning.
Hey, Doug. How are you, buddy?
I heard the lady mention John Muir Trail, and I decided I'd call in and share this story.
Go ahead.
Back when I was young and I spent all my time exploring the Mount Cherokee National Forest, I was hiking on the John Muir Trail in August, which normally in August I'd be laying in my bed with the air conditioning cranked on. So it was miserable hot, and I'm walking down along the John Muir Trail, and all of a sudden, there's what I call a wild spider lily, white, staring at me about waist high. A whole crop of them. Most beautiful wildflower I've ever seen. I came back and went to the headquarters of the Cherokee National Forest and got their botanist, and he came down and got all excited as I was, and we got the books out, and we read all about it and found it quite common down in Louisiana in the deep south. But this is about as far north as they grow. But I'm telling you, it's the most beautiful wildflower you'll ever see. And I kept wondering, how come I was like 40 years old. How come I got so old before I'd ever seen it? Well, it's because, just what I said, in August, I didn't go hiking. I only went hiking when the cool weather. And it only blooms in August, like the first week of August. And if you take your hand and open it as wide as you can, it's got white tentacles, just like your fingers. And therefore it's called a spider lily. Mm-hmm. It looks like a giant spider, and it's the most brilliant white you'll ever see. And they get waist high. And the only other thing I wanted to mention is down on Hog Jowl Branch. That's where golden eagles nest. I went down there about 40 years ago with Ken Dupke, and we were standing there, and Dupke's talking real loud, and all of a sudden the golden eagle came flying right off the nest and flew right over Dupke's head. And I said, "Shut up, Dupke. Look, he's right above your head. You can be quiet now." And it's really neat to see golden eagles down on Pigeon Mountain. The Georgia National Wildlife people, they've reestablished golden eagles down there up on top of the mountain and down in the valley there where Hog Gal Branch is. That valley's got a great deal of Civil War significance, so you want to check it out sometime.
Now, Doug, I don't know the website right offhand, but I'm sure you could Google it. There's eaglets that hatched this week at Harrison Bay, and they have a camera on them.
Yeah, at the golf course.
At the golf course, yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of webcams on Eagles Nest. And
that's good. Maybe that'll keep nosy people away.
Yeah, but it's really fun to wake up early in the morning, get a cup of hot chocolate, and just check out your eagles, watch the eggs hatch and everything. And when I had the internet here at my house, that was my routine. Every morning I'd check out an eagle's nest up in the it's way up in the Virginia area. But anyway, it's really neat to see golden eagles. I mean, they're extremely rare for this area. You know. Well, I can tell you about reflection riding. I spent quite a bit of time down there. It's something you really need to check out because you can get on the loop and you can ride way back in the woods and see the native wildflowers from your car. You don't even, if you're handicapped or old and fat like me, you don't have to get out of your car.
Well, we drove all the turkeys crazy down there because Ron insisted when we got over on the backside of the park to use his turkey call. And they were answering us from the woods and coming out of the woods, and so it was a lot of fun.
Today's the first day of turkey hunting season, by the way.
Oh, they're too pretty to shoot. Thanks, Doug.
Enjoying the show. Bye-bye.
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 While we got this little break here, I wanted to say happy birthday Monday to my mom. She will be celebrating her 85th birthday on Monday.
And she don't think she's a day over 20, does
Nope,
she?
she doesn't. She's
That's great.
Let me up on the screen now for the people on the internet. I've got. Let's take this call, then we'll talk about the butterfly there. Good morning, you live on Old Town Cleveland.
A couple of days ago, Mark Grisham's dad was 76.
Well, congratulations, Mr. Mark Grissom's dad. Can't remember his first name. Tom, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Miss Ella.
Y'all ever seen a 9 o'clock flower bloom at night, open up at night?
A 9 o'clock flower.
I've
I can't
heard
remember the
things
name
like
of
that,
it,
but I've
but-
never seen it. Mm-hmm.
Moonflower, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, I think you're right. The great big round flower. Yes, I love those.
These were yellow. They were behind the towers, and we used to sit out there watching the newspapers over there and everything.
All right.
9 o'clock.
All right. Was you drunk then?
No.
All right. Well.
I was drinking then.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Miss Ella.
All right, bye.
Ella,
She's
take-
drinking.
We were talking about rare plants a while ago. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Ron. I went one year down to Callaway Gardens and just happened to be there at the end of July. And they had the most unusual color of azaleas that bloom that late season. I believe they were just fiery red. And I had the most fun out of seeing those azaleas because it was odd to see them in July.
Right.
And then, of course, Callaway Gardens had tons of them.
Good morning, live on Old Town Cleveland. Go ahead, caller.
I'd be the last person you'd think would know anything about flowers.
Go
You
ahead.
are the last person. Now, if it's a vegetable or a cheeseburger, you know a lot more about it.
If it's on a cheeseburger, I can tell you where it came from and what side of the mountain it grew on. But my wife, about 6 or 7 years ago, and when Ella called in, I know what she's talking about. My wife planted some moon lilies. And those things come back every year. She pulls pods off and gives to friends. And they are beautiful. They only bloom out at night, though. That's why they call them moon lilies. And they're big. When they open up and bloom out at night, they're about the size of a soccer ball. And sometimes a lot bigger than that. But they're kind of spooky looking.
You're seeing things, John.
Oh, they're awesome. I had a couple of friends.
I always like money plants too. I think they're very majestic looking, and of course, I always like a plant where I can see the seeds. And I'll tell you where I got my money plant is I bet 25 years ago at I guess it was Nilly Bipper or something that they were having down at Red Clay. Some little old lady was there selling native seeds and plants and stuff, or old seeds, and I got some stuff.
Well, I don't plant anything. I'm the kiss of death. Plants uproot themselves and run. Coming, but Tracy does pretty good at it. And our tomatoes, we finally figured
I
out.
think with the prices of food now, we all need to be a little bit more interested and start trying to grow some of our food too.
We just buy our tomatoes from the old man down the street here. He has the best tomatoes anywhere around. I think he could grow them on the hood of a car. He's just that good.
Somebody here online saying that that's a Nicodemus plant, and the name came from Nicodemus in the Bible when he came to Jesus at night.
Well, that's interesting.
Interesting.
We call them moon lilies.
We call them moon lilies.
Because you can spell that, right? John, while I got you on the phone there, John wrote our song for our documentary. We wrote a couple of songs in there called It's a Dirt Track Life and The Finish Line. And, John, I know we put that music video out on YouTube. And tell how many people have looked at that so far?
Close to 12,000 now.
Wow.
I know it was like 11,900 the other day. It's got good response.
Well, that is good and everything. And you have a new CD out, new music CD?
Yeah, I've got a new CD. It's called No Preservatives Added. It's got which describes me pretty well.
I thought you was going to do Life on a Biscuit.
Death on a Biscuit.
Death on a Biscuit.
Actually, yeah. The old timers know what I'm talking about. The old timers have heard that phrase, "death on a biscuit." Pretty much the worst you can feel, but yeah, I'm working on one. And now the No Preservatives Added has got 2 songs from It's a Dirt Track Life, which is the title song, and the finish line. And then there's a song on there, Coming Home, from the Caney Creek documentary, and then the lead-in song for you guys' show, Old Town, is on there. So they need to get them quick because they're literally.
John makes all the music for our life run.
Yeah, they need to get them quick because they're flying off the shelf.
Is it a million seller yet? Got a million of them in the cellar?
No, and I think I can fix the problem if I just take a level to that shelf and put a new brace on it or something.
Oh, okay. So if they did want to get one, how would they do that?
JohnCookMusic.net or Amazon.
All right, so that's No Preservatives Added.
That's right.
All right, well, hey, thanks, John.
All right.
See you, buddy.
Bye-bye. How do you, if you want butterflies and different type of creatures to come, what do you plant?
This is a really good little flyer. It tells the different plants. The butterflies need nectar-loving plants. And one of the best plants to plant for butterflies is milkweed. Now, years ago, we always thought milkweed was just a weed. But now milkweed has gotten to be the thing to plant to get butterflies to come. Of course, everybody plants butterfly bushes, and those are great.
Milkweed's the little orange thing in the pastures.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you just go out and dig them up.
Yeah.
Move them. Yeah.
But one of my favorite, my utility persons, my utility people don't like I have a coral honeysuckle, and we finally ended up cutting it down because it would go on the guide wire. I mean, I have to plant things out front where there's light like that to bloom, so I planted it on the guide wire going up the utility post, and the utility company asked me if they minded if I cut it down, so now I plant it in pots and set it around different places. But it's a coral honeysuckle, and the hummingbirds love that one, and it's a good pollinator for the butterflies and the hummingbirds. You're not seeing as many butterflies as years ago, and the honeybees too, because we need more plants that are pollinators.
Right.
So not only can we get something pretty in our yard, it can help the butterflies.
Yes,
and the bees.
yes.
We're in trouble without our bees.
Yeah. And butterflies, for some reason, like a lot of the oranges. And I plant a lot of native azaleas, and they like the native azaleas.
Go ahead, caller. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Yeah, that's T Bandy.
Hey, T-Bandy.
What's happening, buddy?
Yeah, rain.
Rain.
And what we needed. I ain't got my garden plowed up yet, but I love plants. I hadn't seen Kim in a long time.
T can plant anything and it grows.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hey, we need some cotton seeds.
Well, I got it. That's what I started to tell you at 1st of May, anywhere from 1st or the 15th of May is when you plant it. I think. Ask Kim.
That's a real good time, T. Most everybody tries to get in a hurry, and some things don't germinate and grow as well. But if you wait till the 1st of May, most everything will do pretty good, and our danger frost is gone.
That's when we always done that at home. We raised 10 acres at the house back when I was 16, anywhere from 10 to 16.
Now, how much cotton do I have to grow to make a pair of underwear? How much cotton do I have to grow to make a pair of underwear? Now, remember, I'm a good sized guy.
You need at least 5 pounds, I guess.
So how many plants would that be?
Well, it's according to how good a gardener you are. You're going to learn to garden. You know, all this education you're getting, you ought to be able to grow some good cotton.
Well, I'm going to have my soil tested, the first thing I'm going to do.
Yeah, you need your soil to that. I remember doing that. I remember riding on the back of a pickup truck down to the co-op and jumping off every so often. You need to go from one corner to a field to the next corner and then a crisscross in a big field. I don't know what you do in the yard unless you go in 2 or 3 places.
Similar, try to, it's different sections, and they've got some diagrams of how many samples, and you mix it all together. Then send it.
Take that down to the co-op. Take it down to the co-op, and they'll send it off for you.
All right.
I think they charge. Well, they did charge $3, but that's back before I retired.
I think it's up to $7 now.
Yeah,
6 or 7, yeah.
Up.
Yeah. You can take it to the extension agency down there, too, and they've got the boxes and everything for you. So
they got them at the co-op. I used to give them to people down there at the co-op. Used to go out and fill them up and take them to UPS and mail them.
Send them off.
Yeah. No.
So,
Kim's better. Hive works down there at the co-op in the plant place, so she can tell you a whole lot about the plants, too. That brandy wine tomato that Kim was talking about, that's Mr. Stripey down at the co-op.
Yeah, that's another name for it. It sure is. It depends on who's growing that thing and what company it's coming from.
I always try to get one plant. I raised 3 tomato plants out here the last 4 or 5 years. Yeah, but it's good to talk to Kim.
T, are you growing any peppers of any kind?
I did before I broke my hip last year. I put them in the freezer and I threw them away the other day. I didn't know how long they're supposed to stay in the freezer. I raised sweet peppers and well, every kind you can think of, jalapenos and the hot and habanero.
That's them hot ones, aren't they?
That's that real hot one.
Yeah.
We get plants.
I can grow habaneros.
Yeah.
That's how good, easy those are to grow.
I mean, his looks like a tree or something when he gets.
I put jalapenos in my cornbread when I make it.
Now, when you get the yellow and the red peppers, those you have to buy yellow and red plants, right?
Yeah, you can get them at the co-op now. They used to, they didn't handle them, but they had them purple ones and orange ones and yellow ones and red ones and green ones. They had about 5 or 6 different ones, or they did when I was running it down there. I don't know.
Debbie, that's another one of those things of selection over the years. We found out as that plant gets, when those peppers get mature, they turn a color other than green, and sometimes they're red, and we've crossed some varieties to get purples and yellows and.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll buy those red ones at the store, and they'll be real sweet. And the next time you buy it, there's not.
I found out if you plant a hot pepper next to a sweet pepper, the sweet pepper will come out hot.
Yep.
Was that due to cross-pollination there from the insects?
Cross-pollination of nature, I reckon.
We have found that when you buy pepper plants at the Amish farm, you don't know what you're getting sometimes.
A couple of years ago, I got this hibiscus.
Yes.
Big hibiscus, red blooms on it.
Yes.
And I tried to cross-pollen that cotton, but it didn't work. I was going to get me some red bloomed cotton.
Then Ron could have had some red underwear.
There you go.
Yeah, red. Well, they sell them in the co-op. No, I've got, I guess, 5 pounds of cotton over here. I'm going to get it down and get you some seeds out of it, or give you the cotton and let you pick it out.
We can dig the seeds out of it. When's your next fish truck coming to the co-op?
The 18th, I forgot about the fish truck. Yeah, it's coming the 18th. That's on a Friday at 11 o'clock.
Okay.
And so far, I hadn't got any customers. So Kim sees a lot of people. He could get me some fish customers.
That's right.
We'll advertise that thing
And
for you,
you
T.
can find T at 478-2405.
Yeah, or 310-6918.
All righty. Well, thank you, Mr. T.
Good to talk to you all.
Bye-bye.
Just have a nice day.
Thank you.
Bye. If you want to get plants that have seeds for birds and animals, what's some other real good seeds that are pretty and give seeds out too? I mean, big seeds, you know,
because we're tired of buying bird seeds.
Yeah, I need.
Sunflower seed. I mean, you know, it's they like my after the black-eyed Susans bloom, the finches will come and sit on them, and the purple coneflower. It's fun. I don't ever cut them back. I let them stay there, and the finches will just sit there and eat all the seeds off.
They just throw them everywhere.
Yeah, and they plant. I have lots of things that the birds have planted, like the mahonias. They're not a native plant, but the leatherleaf mahonias, they're called grape mahonias with the purple, really pretty purple
little berries.
Yeah. And so the birds eat them.
What's attracted to that birds?
Yeah. Oh, the cedar waxwings love this one. The only time I ever see cedar waxwings are when they come and eat my leatherleaf mahonia seeds. And they've just planted them out, you know, all over the place. I have babies of those coming up everywhere, thanks to the birds.
We're trying to figure out what to do about the crazy squirrel that hangs on the bird feeder and swings.
A gun.
Lead poisoning.
Lead poisoning.
Yeah, they've eaten our house, so we quit
being nice.
Tractor Supply is sad that we quit feeding the birds because we quit buying bird food because we're
that's it. And it was so funny. They had never ever touched our tomatoes and our plants that are up on the deck where our bird feeders are. Well, we let the bird feeders run out of feed, and they ate everything on the deck.
Well, they eat
except the hot peppers.
They eat our cedar siding on the house, so we just quit feeding the birds, and I hate that because I really miss the birds. But
I took some cayenne pepper out there and spread it all over my tomato plants. Said, come on in there, squirrel. They must have been Mexican squirrels. They love that.
It doesn't faze them.
Oh no!
No, they just ate that hot chili pepper, and I'm thinking we burned everything's eyes out here with that hot chili pepper powder.
You just flavored it up for them, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Squirrels.
Yeah. Got a call here. If I can find the button, we'll answer.
Push them all, Ron.
Good morning, live on Old Town Cleveland.
Good morning. I hear you guys talking about birds.
Yes.
Yes, and there's a way that you can keep those birds, or should I say the squirrels?
Squirrels are what we don't want.
Yeah, the squirrels is not what you want. But what you should do is take some Dawn soap and put it in just like a little maybe onion bag or something like onions come out of, and then tie it at the base of your bird feeder, and it keeps the squirrels out.
Oh, they don't like soap. Okay, Dial soap.
Don't like soap. We tried that before, and it did work.
Mine will be taking a bath in it.
I mean, this is a real rowdy squirrel. But I will try that.
Yeah, try that.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye. So he swings, which throws the seeds over into our pool, and so there's little plants growing up in our basket. I mean, it just caused all kinds of havoc. I keep going, okay, red-tailed hawk, come back and live at my house.
Our red-tailed hawk took care of most of our squirrels, and then the squirrels were pretty gone, and now red-tailed hawk left. Matter of fact, we seen a red-tailed hawk in the hallway out here today.
Wow.
I believe it's injured. Good morning. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Good morning, Whoop FM. How are y'all today?
Good morning. Who's calling, please?
This is Country Boy Produce.
Hey, you're live and on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're live and in person on 2355 South Lee Highway.
Okay.
Come on down and see us. I've got some other vendors down here. We're in the new South Lee Flea Market down here.
All right.
All righty.
We've got tomatoes, bell peppers, onions, zucchini, squash. You name it, come on down. Find you a bargain.
Them are maters, aren't they?
Yeah, we've got some maters. Yeah, they're not those things you buy in the grocery store. These are the homegrown.
All right, sounds good. And tell us where you are again so everybody will know. 2355 South Lee Highway, right?
Highway.
All right. Well, now, Now, tell me exactly what's that near so everybody can get a picture.
Right across from the trailers where they sell the trailers. They're on the right. We'll cross right on the left there. We've got the signs up and the red, white, and blue flags.
There you go.
All right.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you. Good luck.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, I like the when the farmer market starts opening up, that's just unbelievable. We just
I like to go this time of year up to the Amish and watch them plow with the horses.
The horses.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, one year we were up there and they were baling hay, I believe, or doing something, but there was some several $100,000 piece of equipment on this side of the road doing the same thing that there was horses and mules and some guy doing it on this side of the road.
Right.
We also saw them one time. They had a conveyor belt or like a, what was that, Ron? They had a conveyor belt looking thing set up that to pump water out of the creek had a horse on that.
it was like it was a horse treadmill. It was a horse
Yeah.
treadmill,
And,
and it was running the pump for them. It had two
Turning the
horses on
pump.
there. They're pretty ingenious.
Yeah, yeah. And we also saw that they had a cement mixer one time, one of the little round ones, hooked to an old exercise bicycle.
Ingenious.
Yeah.
It was. We loved it.
And we bought something. Deb bought a broom up there. And this is the heaviest broom you ever seen, but it don't wear out.
I
Oh, I
said,
mean-
look at that broom. You know, over the winter time, they make a few rugs, and they're a little pricey. I mean, I probably paid $15, but you pay that much for a broom at Walmart, I'm sure. But I said, I want a straw broom. Look at that, you know.
And that one will probably
And
wear out for
those
others.
little women must have muscles like Popeye, because I'll tell you, that's a heavy broom, isn't it, Ron?
Mm-hmm. But, you know, it don't wear out like those little small
no,
ones.
no. You don't lose any of the little bristles out of it either. Of course, we try not to use it too much.
Okay, now, is there certain plants that you put in that repel insects?
Oh, that's a good question.
Like isn't marigolds supposed to keep bees
Marigolds.
out?
I plant my marigolds around to make my small little vegetable area, and I don't use chemicals. I'm not really totally organic, but I just as soon use compost, and if I've got a few bugs, I'll just pick them up, put them in a bucket of water. But I don't get to have a lot of vegetables, but I try to have a few, you know.
Yeah.
Then I give up and go to the farmer's
Then
market.
what does the marigolds do? What is it?
I guess it's the aroma, because you know they just smell. Don't you think so, Kim?
I think so.
Is that and it keeps what away though? It keeps the insects away.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now don't you need some insects for pollination?
Oh yeah.
Though. So it wouldn't
the
keep
beetles. No,
Just any old marigold?
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
In fact, a good plug
I
for
love
that.
marigolds because you can't hardly kill them.
You can't, but on February April the 12th, Cleveland State is having their Green Day, and they have a plant swap every year, and boy, you wouldn't believe how many plants that people bring. There was one gentleman that brought tons of tomato plants one year, but you know, dig up a few things that you've got a lot of. Like I have a lot of Lenten roses. I'll take my Lenten roses and take over there and swap for, you know, I got strawberries one year. You know, just label them. You can go to the Cleveland State website and find out. There's a sheet of paper that tells you how to do plants for the plant swap. But it's a neat way to get different plants. You know, they're free. So I think it starts at 10 o'clock. I think it's from 10 to 2.
2 weeks from today.
On April the 12th.
Yeah.
You know, up at the Amish farm too, they have their blackberry bushes in their yards pruned, and I've always wondered about that, which is much nicer than going out in the woods and getting all the chiggers to plant to gather the blackberries.
Does people plant blackberries on purpose?
Well,
I'm
the
sure they
Amish
would.
do.
The Amish do up there, but I never thought about it. I thought you went out and got chiggers to get blackberries.
Now you'll learn that in your Master Gardener class that's coming up, but there's several varieties of what we call tame blackberries versus wild blackberries or cultivated blackberries. I guess the big thing about those is that they are big berries. Those little sections in each one of the berries is called a drupe, D-R-U-P-E, I believe is how it's spelled. Those are normally really big, and so they tend to be when you eat those, they tend to have bigger seeds and they are more gritty than the wild blackberries. Don't make as good a cobbler for sure, but if you're doing jellies or making grape juice or something like that, not grape juice but blackberry juice, for preserves or whatever, they really do well.
Before we go to the morning break here, tell us about the Master Gardener program, and there's a class starting now, and you start one per year.
We have been doing one per year. Now, there's a year or two that we didn't have quite enough to do a class, so we held over till the next year. But normally we'll do one per year, and as the number of master gardeners we get in Cleveland increases, then we have a lot more interest now. And there's actually 31 in this class, and Ronnie is one of those members. And it's actually a program that it was started many years ago, and I don't even know what state it started in, but it's just a program for homeowners to learn more about gardening, and we go through 14 different subjects that we'll be teaching. And part of the concept of Master Gardeners is that once you gain all this knowledge, you're able to share this information through education with others in the community. We do a lot of different projects, and part of the concept is that for every hour of training you receive, you give back an hour of volunteer service. And after that first year, it's easier to maintain your Master Gardener status because they don't require as much volunteer work. But
it's 25 hours the second year.
Most everybody will double their work the next year because they get involved in a lot of different projects and helping others to gain.
Some of it's the juvenile. What's the exact name of that program?
We started. This is our third semester working with the juvenile court system. Our Master Gardener group went to Flint Springs Ruritan Club one night and put on a program. Mike Arnold, who's no longer in Cleveland, he was really instrumental in getting our organization started, and we did a program down there about the Master Gardener organization, and Judge Swafford went blank there for a minute, was there and asked us if we would be interested in working with the juvenile court system. And they already had some, I think 15 raised beds, which are really, really nice garden area. And Ricky Talent, who took the class last year, works at the juvenile court system. So we all got to working with Ricky and Judge Swafford, and we've got two teachers. One of them is retired, Deb Flower, and the other one, Leslie Humbert, who are certified teachers. And they do the programs, the teaching programs for this. We have class time, and then we have projects. Then we go out and work in these gardens. And some of these kids, when you ask them where food comes from, they think it's from the grocery store. Now they know, how this starts from seeds to produce.
I think Randall Higgins was involved in that. Maybe
Randall was,
and he thought it was so funny because when you first tried to get those kids, they were interested and they kind of rolled their eyes. But when that first piece of squash showed up, and they went, "What is that?"
It's so cute to see them because some of them, and we lay all the produce out on the table and they take it home at night, and some of them, man, just take as much as they can carry, and it's really neat because it's getting them interested in gardening. We've got one of our little junior Master Gardeners that wants to take the Master Gardener class, but he's playing football this year, so we're hoping that we can get him in our regular Master Gardener class next year, because this will be something they can do maybe as a profession to go into, to be interested enough to work,
If you want to become a Master Gardener, contact the Extension Agency and get your name on a list, and they will contact you when it's time.
We have a waiting list that I call people every year. I've called you for a couple of years now. We finally got Ron in our class. But we take, at our different events, like Cleveland Green Day and the fair, we have a list, and you can put your name on. Or you can call Janet at the UT office, and I'm usually the one that calls the people. I have just an ongoing list. We try to do no more than 40 in our class because we feel like if we get over 40, it's just too hard to handle that many. But we've had great enthusiasm from this year's class, and we're really excited because we want this class to transfer over into our Master Gardener organization because we've got several different projects going on right now, and it's really hard if we all try. We need we need lots of bodies to do all the projects that we're doing.
It's a great program. I've been through 3 or 4 classes now, and just it's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
what
we
you learn.
just finished class 4, and we're well on our way. We meet once a week, and we meet for 3 hours on this year it's on Thursday nights, but depending on when we get our speakers, and the speakers are they have a lot of them are extension agents or extension specialists. We do have some master gardeners that are not professional in their field, but are very, very close. We've got some that do a super job teaching classes, and that's part of their volunteer hours to give back. But we have PowerPoint presentations.
Mr. McCleary.
Yeah,
Myron McCleary.
Yeah.
Yeah, Myron's he's very, very knowledgeable about vegetable gardening and
very good,
and a very good teacher.
Yes, he was.
Absolutely.
When we come back from the break, we're going to talk about the effects the weather's had on the planting this year. And as we go to break, we always play
Gone Home
for those people that we've lost this week, and we want to be sure to remember the family of Chief Deputy Wayne Bird, and also we lost Mrs. McConnell from the McConnell Rogers gas station up on North Lee Highway, and I know a lot of people that knew her too, and there are lots of others in the community, but we'll play that little song for them, and we'll be back with you in about 5 or 6 minutes.
WOOP LP, Cleveland, Tennessee.
You need money overnight? Check into cash. Your time is tight. .com. Bank account's too low? Check into cash. So where do you go? .com. Do it online in a record time. It's the easy way to get money next day. Do a quick click from home at checkintocash.com. Just stay in the house. Check into cash and grab your mouse. .com. Get your money online. Check into cash right on time. .com. You can be sure it's secure from our bank straight to yours. Do a quick click from home at checkintocash.com. No time to get away. Check into cash. You gotta stay home.com. Hey, that's okay. Check into cash. You can do it alone.com. Any old time, do it online. Just stay in the house and grab your mouse. Do a quick click from home. Get your money overnight at the right website. Do a quick click from home. Go to checkintocash.com.
Wheeler Technologies has moved. Visit them at their new location at 490 Grove Avenue Southwest next to Bradley Rentals. Same great folks, same great service with a better location to serve you. Call Wheeler Technologies for voice, data, and security needs at 664-TECH. That's 664-8324. And remember, depend on Wheeler Technologies for the current time and temperature every day at 476-1111. Tennessee Alarm Contractor C1750. Kiesler Incorporated is in the business of recycling your metal, and they pay cash. The only covered scrapyard around where you can recycle rain or shine. They're located off the bypass on Overhead Bridge Road. Automobiles, appliances, copper, stainless steel, tin, all metals can be recycled at Kiesler, and you can walk away with cash. That's right, they pay cash, and they are the friendliest scrapyard in the Southeast. If you have unwanted metal just laying around, bring it to Kiesler Recycling today and walk away with cash. Kiesler Recycling open Monday through Saturday, 7:30 to 5, or call for more details, 614-3000.
The song
Gone home. They have gone home. Gone home. They have gone home. They've joined the heavenly fold. They're walking the streets of pure gold. They left one by one as their work here was done. Gone home. They have gone home. Gone home. They have gone home.
It was awful.
That's Gone Home. We play that every week for all those people who've passed in the week, and particularly out to the family of Mrs. McConnell and to Chief Wayne Bird's family, who passed away yesterday morning, and sad for the Sheriff's Department to lose any member of the department there. And so our prayers go out to all those people there at the Sheriff's Department and to the families.
All right, Kim. We've had some of the craziest weather in the last 12 months. How does that affect gardening?
Well, a lot of it we're just now seeing as plants start to bud and grow this spring. The cold in January was damaging to certain species of plants. The fruit crops is one that everybody always wants to know about, and I think for the most part, apples survives fairly well. Peaches are not quite as hardy as apples, but they are okay too. Now there may be some damage that
but not like we had. What was it? Maybe 5 years ago that we had a freeze on Easter Sunday, and it wiped out all the apples out at the apple orchard.
Right. And blueberries, grapes, muscadines, muscadines are not nearly as hardy as some of the others, and we've had some.
Now, are muscadines native, or is that something brought?
They're native. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, caller. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Ron, this is Bob Kay.
Hey, Bob. Lord. Bob, are you growing any marijuana out in your garage?
Yes, sir, boss. I'll tell you what.
No, seriously, he doesn't grow marijuana at his house.
I just joined your program this morning, and I was just wondering, is Red a master gardener?
Well, she's done called in and given us information this morning, so she must be.
She's done a lot with corn.
I believe she mastered it right into something liquid.
Yes.
I'll tell you what now, I believe me and Red could make some gardens together.
Well, I've heard it called lots of things.
All right, well, I'll let you go. I'm going to enjoy your program.
Thank you, dear.
All right, Red.
Look
Bob
out.
Cash wants to play in the dirt with you.
Lord. But I was hoping all this hard freeze that we had would eliminate a lot of the bugs. And then it's the first day it was 65. We're driving down our driveway and there's bugs flying everywhere. And I'm thinking, well, I must have 1 million ladybugs in my house.
They find a place or a way to overwinter regardless of what we do in most cases. Now, one thing that we don't know for sure right now, and I've not disturbed any of the nests that I have, is what happened, did the cold weather do anything to the fire ants? And that's the one that I've been getting some calls about at the extension office, and right now we don't know yet, but I'm thinking that, we're still going to have fire ants regardless of whether we killed off.
Ron planted peanuts, and when he went to harvest the peanuts, the ants had built in those pots and about ate him up.
Yep.
Yeah, they got me pretty good there. All right, after this call, we're going to talk about how to get rid of those darn things. Good morning, you live on Old Town Cleveland.
Hey, I thought he's supposed to take me for a ride on his motorcycle.
Well, if you got some corn or liquid corn, he'll take you.
Uncle Bob was at Bokie the other day. He said, I want to take you for a ride on my motorcycle.
Well, say, now that was Bob Cash. That wasn't Uncle Bob. So you're getting your Bobs confused.
You got so many Bobs, you don't know them apart, Ella.
Well, I only know one Bob Case.
Okay, well, that Uncle Bob is a different one.
Oh, okay.
So you was flirting with the wrong guy and didn't even know it.
Thanks, Ella.
Bye-bye.
Bye. How did we get rid of fire ants? They started around our house here recently, and you know, you
In
kill.
the last 3 or 4 years, they just really it exploded.
They have, and fire ants are a little difficult insect that they're a little different to deal with than we've had with the others. For years, we've always, if we've seen an insect, we've had an insecticide of some sort that we could spray and kill it. It's very hard to do that with fire ants because that queen, there's a group of ants, and that takes care of the queens, all they do. And if something disturbs the nest, one of them yells fire, and they take the queen and move her out of one of the tunnels, and you can kill 100.
So that's why the nest comes up a few feet away?
Absolutely.
Oh.
You can kill 100 million workers, and all of a sudden they move her over 6 or 7 or 8 feet, and there she starts another colony. So, they're pretty hard to kill. So that's the reason that the companies have developed the baits and the growth regulators that you sprinkle around and do not disturb the nest. They take this insecticide, the growth regulator, they pick those things up and they carry them back to the nest and they feed it to the queen and the young, and it takes a period of time in order to weaken that colony and eventually kill it out. Now, a lot of folks think they actually eat that carrier or that particle that you sprinkle out, and they don't. They actually have a mouth part like gills like a fish does, and they can't swallow things. Everybody said, well, just put grits out around and they'll eat that grit and swell up and bust. Well, they can't swallow that particle. They actually suck that liquid out of that particle and kick it out the side. So they're actually using the liquid that they get from that. That's the reason, in order to tell if a fire ant colony is feeding, you can crumble up some potato chips,
Yeah.
and scatter those chips around the fire ant mound, and all of a sudden you'll start seeing them move because they're after that oil that's actually in that potato chip.
Do they like barbecue or just regular?
Just regular potato chips is fine.
Sour cream and onion.
No, you don't have to doctor them up any. Just regular old potato chips.
So if we just continuously put poison out on the mounds, will they eventually move on, or will they just keep?
It will. If you treat that mound, it will eventually weaken that one down, and they won't move it over. To the side. Now, if you go
our
in,
little grandbaby got in those things, and it was not.
Yeah, they're not an easy one to deal with. And used to we could drench that mound, and now our insecticide choices we don't have a lot to do with. We can do that with now.
Good morning, you're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Morning, Rod and Debbie.
Hey, how you doing?
Good morning. How are you, buddy? Joe?
I've got a question to ask that guy.
Go ahead.
I've got a tree in my backyard that just before fall, all the leaves fall off of it, but it grows new leaves back. I was wondering what kind of tree that was.
It grow. Is it a tree? I mean, they grow back immediately?
Well, maybe 2 or 3 weeks later they come back.
They put new leaves back on in the fall.
Right.
Okay.
You may have stumped him, Joe.
Yeah. How big a tree is this?
It's it's not what you call a real big tree.
Now, Joe, has it always done this, or is it just something new it started doing?
Ever since I've lived here,
okay.
Tornado. I hadn't noticed it here lately, but all the leaves that fall off, they need to put new leaves back on it.
Well, Joe, what you need to do, take a picture, bring some leaves down to Kim's office, and then they'll tell you exactly what it is.
Absolutely. Has there been any, done any construction or anything around this tree, Joe?
No,
Okay. It's because a lot of times a tree will get predisposed to certain things, like if there's been construction or things that's been changed around it, like you put in a new field line or a water line, you actually cut some roots, and that causes the tree to do strange things sometimes because it's not natural. Something's happened and the tornado may have done something, it may have affected it some way, broke some limbs or stressed it in some way. That's right.
Well, thank you, Joe. Bring those leaves by sometime.
I will.
Bye, dear.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sherry.
I drove up to my mom's house the other day, and there were little pinwheels all out in the yard. And I thought, what in the world's going on? And my sister had read that those will get rid of moles, that you put those little pinwheels like you get at the Dollar Tree down in the ground. I guess it makes a noise or something.
does.
I did notice that the moles had moved to the other side of the driveway, but I'm not sure they've left.
The good thing to do, and they do make a noise, but you got to move those things around quite often.
You got to move them around. Okay.
Because if you
the owl
don't,
on the house, you've got to move it.
yeah, they get used to that sound.
The only
and-
thing that the owl would scare would be me, because I'd forget that it was hanging there, and I'd run into it, and it'd scare me.
Moles are difficult critters to deal with too, because what they're doing when they hump that ground up and make that tunnel, that's actually their feeding tunnel. Anything that falls in that tunnel is what they eat. If it's a red worm or a grub worm or a cricket or an insect of some sort, because moles are actually insect eaters. Dad always thought they were plant eaters because they'd go right underneath that peanut row right out the garden, but actually there was an insect of some sort that was probably feeding on that peanut, and the mole was trying to get to the insect.
Yeah, they messed up our roadies because they tunneled so much around the roadie that it killed, the air got to the roots.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Moles can.
So
they
let's
can,
talk about, where did all these ladybugs come from?
They were actually, I think, turned loose in South Georgia in order to eat the yellow pecan aphid. They were released in pecan orchards in South Georgia, and they've just migrated to the north over the past probably 15 years, I guess.
Can
And
we
we've
send
just
them back to Georgia?
No, I don't think we can send them back to Georgia.
Well, the funny thing at our house is that you rarely see one alive, but you can always find those little dead bodies in the windowsills and stuff.
But the good thing about lady beetles is that these are predators also.
Yeah,
they feed on aphids and other insects, so they're beneficial insects until they get in their house. And
Yeah,
then,
and I don't like them much
They're
in my
good
house.
outside.
Yeah, and I'll take them and throw them out the back door. One thing that we encountered last year is that we left. We looked at the plants and we left, and we came back 3 or 4 hours later, and every leaf was stripped off of a plant. Some big worm. What would that have been?
A big hookworm. The big worm with the hook on the end. Is that what it's called?
Probably a hornworm, tomato hornworm, probably. It's got a big,
Got
a
on
big
my
hook.
bell pepper plant. Just,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just stripped
yeah,
every
yeah.
leaf off of it. We
Yeah.
were not happy.
It
was very
They
happy.
can flat do a lot of feeding in a hurry.
Okay,
They
let's
sure
get this
can.
call.
Oh, I didn't see it. Sorry. Go ahead, caller. You're live on Old Town Cleveland.
Yes, Ron, I got one more question for your guest, please.
Go ahead.
I noticed last year we was overrun with mosquitoes, and I don't know. I don't guess there's anything you can do about it, but I noticed up there on Fort Hill, it seemed like I've never seen so many mosquitoes out. Is there anything we can do about that, or just wear? I don't like wearing heavy clothes in the summertime, but
We hopefully this big heavy frost we had will help a little bit.
There's also, is there a water source there? Is that they're coming from?
It's kind of swampy down in there towards the veterans, isn't it? I mean, it's not. You can tell the ground's moist by just walking on it.
yeah, it is.
I mean, it's not wet, but there's moisture down in there. It's downhill at
It's
the bottom
going
of
to
the
be
hill.
pretty hard to eliminate the water there. The other option is there is a. It's shaped like a donut. It's called a mosquito dunk, I think, DUNK. There is a naturally occurring insecticide. It's Bacillus thuringiensis something. I don't know what the last name is, but it is specific to mosquito larvae. That's the only thing it kills. And you can, if you could get some of those and put in that water, maybe around
Now,
the
where
edge.
would you get that? I want one of those. Where do you get
Probably
that?
any of the any of the
Okay.
gardens.
Any of the garden
It's called a dunk, mosquito dunk.
Yep.
They're little brown
They're a
rings.
little round ring.
You can get them in a bag.
I'd try,
Everybody's writing that down.
Southeastern Co-op, Beatty's Hardware on Wildwood,
Okay. Yeah,
Ace
Beatty's has 'em.
Hardware.
Okay.
Anywhere like that. Any of the garden centers should have something like that.
And of course, my favorite is if you can attract bats to the area.
That would work.
If you have
too,
buy a bat house and put up somewhere near there.
I have a bat house. I think
I can't get any bats in mine yet. I'm gonna have
We
to
have
move
a
it.
squirrel that lives in our owl house, no bats in our bat house.
And
I
there's,
appreciate it.
you know,
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
possibly purple martins. There's a debate about whether purple martins eat mosquitoes or not. Dragonflies eat mosquitoes, and then the
How do you attract dragonflies?
well, have mosquitoes. I guess I don't know. I
Water
don't know.
source, and you don't really want,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but the other folks say no, purple martins eat the dragonflies. So I don't know. I don't know what the diet.
While
of-
we've got a second here, I want to mention that. Well, we haven't quite planned next week's show. We've got a bunch of people on maybes that we'll let you know about that. But on the 12th, we're going to have a racing show because that's the week before the documentary shows, or the week of the documentary showing. And then on the 19th, we're going to have Miss Neil Tipton and Willie Gregg in here, and they're going to be talking about the old area down at 5 Points.
Tip Top Grocery.
Yes, she's from Tip Top and
That's-
Vaughn
that's-
Groceries. Well, over the 90 mark, I believe. And then on the 26th is something that people have asked us about for 3 or 4 years, and Ron finally booked the guy. We're going to have someone in here talking about underground Chattanooga. And I think that's going to be a terribly interesting show when the first floor of Chattanooga was put under the ground to prevent the flooding, and so you could still, like the exercise places in Chattanooga, you can see the old outside windows when you're down under the ground. And then on May 10th, we got Jeff Day coming in. He grew up down around Chase Appliance and in
The Teddy Bear and
the
the Cleveland Hotel.
was his family, and so he's going to be talking about all those things. And then on May the 24th, we have the Burnses coming in talking about the Circuit Riding Preacher, which is going to be a musical that's going to be performed here in
Yeah.
Cleveland. Matter of fact, they are auditioning people now. They need a fiddle player. They need some very specific things, some young people
Well,
to be
fiddle
the
player
background
is,
players. Greg
Taylor from the Banner. Yeah, let's see we get.
But they're having auditions, and if you're interested in that, and I'm sorry I don't have the number here, but it's Jim and Doris Burns are the people that's auditioning this week for those parts.
My family was circuit riding preachers, Methodist preachers up around Townsend. That's where my family's from. And half of them were preachers. Well, a third of them were preachers. A third of them were moonshiners, and the other third were both. So.
And that's the truth.
It is the truth.
Jeff, how old is
Jeff Day's younger. Jeff's probably 50 now.
Right around the 50 mark.
He's not probably going to remember, but where our building is on Church Street behind where Chase Appliance was.
Goodwill Used Cars.
Well, even before that.
What was that was
the old jockey lot.
Jockey lot, right?
Now we have Miss Edna calls in and talks about she remembers and she may be listening and may call us here in a minute. She remembers as a little girl the big trains pulling up and they would unload the horses and the guys on the horses like cowboys were herding animals through the streets in Cleveland to the jockey lot. The jockey lot was built out of the materials from the old Ocoee Hotel.
And then there's Reed Evans barbershop there.
Right.
Reed was there forever, wasn't he?
Right. Absolutely.
Reed Evans lived up on
a good
Crest
friend,
Drive
a
off
good
South
friend
Lee.
of ours has opened up an advertising business in the old Teddy Bear restaurant there, where the Teddy Bear used to be, and he's doing one great idea advertising. And Mark
Great graphic
Smith.
artist. If you need a cover design for something or some kind of logo, he is just really amazing. He's done a
doing
lot
all
of our stuff for us, so we really appreciate it. So now, how do you attract animals and disattract animals? How do you get rid of something? I like my deer. I don't mind the hawks that we got. I don't mind some of that type of stuff, and even the squirrel or two. But it's those pesky groundhogs and skunks. So any ideals?
Well,
Traps work well.
On attracting wildlife, food and cover and shelter, those are, and water. Those are things that you are basic requirements that you have to get those. If you don't have those for certain species, you probably won't have those there. Controlling is a whole lot more difficult with some things. Trapping is probably the best way that we have. There's very few toxicants or repellents that are labeled. You can buy products that says that repel snakes, but Snakes sense with their tongue. That's the reason they stick it out. I don't think that's going to smell.
Well, certain
anything,
snakes are pretty darn good, aren't they? The black snakes.
Yeah, they're good to have. A black and a garter snake are great to
They're
have.
going to kill other snakes and mice and things. I just read an article in Georgia. They done a survey and they said the black snake is on a decline, and the copperheads are on increase because the black snake was the king snake. I think it was.
The king snake
was its number one enemy. And so without its predator there, that's a wrong combination going the wrong way. And we probably all have killed a black snake somewhere along the way, and because, it's a snake.
Right.
And
a lot of folks are terrified of it. Doesn't matter whether it's black, white.
Well, it's according to where I
whatever.
see it at. If it's like 15 yards down in the yard, it doesn't bother me a bit. If I just stepped on it, I'll get a little bit more concerned. What brings skunks in? What attract just food? Just
Dog food. If you leave your dog food out,
or cat food. Yeah.
We used to have,
we had
used to
stray
have
cats. We had stray cats at our house that I fed because I felt sorry for them. Well, then those cats started eating an awful lot of food, so we was feeding every possum and skunk within 3 miles.
Well, your trash will, we have raccoons. Try to keep your trash cans.
Raccoons are amazing how much they can open the garbage can lids and
they're so we had to move out. We had ours by a wall, and he would just go up the wall and just take undo the lid and just take it off and help himself. He would never put the lid back on.
Yeah, he's a pretty messy eater too. Yeah.
Another food source for skunks is white grubs that may be in your soil, and I'll get calls periodically during the year.
They get holes in our yard.
Got holes in my yard. That's the question. Well, then I started exploring. Is there soil around the top? Yes. And is it cone shaped and pointed down in the bottom? Yeah, that's it. Well, you've got a skunk somewhere that's after white grubs.
Now
that's
we
in your
had
yard.
a huge yellow jacket's nest, and it dug up the yellow jacket's nest. We thought, what did we think was doing that originally? The fox?
Yeah, we thought a fox may have been doing. We have fox, bobcats, skunks, groundhogs, turkeys, and I live in the city.
When they started doing the construction over
I
at
didn't used
Exit
to live in the
20.
city. The city come got me.
We have the foxes and the skunk. We don't have the bob. Well, I saw coyotes in our woods not long ago.
We saw a coyote close to our house, and then when we had the snow, we saw some big cat prints.
Yeah, they were big bobcat type.
One that's more destructive is, in our farming and even in our home situation is groundhogs.
Yes.
They're very, very destructive.
And I did not recall ever seeing a groundhog until 4 or 5 years ago, and I started seeing them in the cemeteries. They just tear up the cemeteries. Them and the fire ants are the two main native destruction, and limbs falling.
And fallen tombstone's a real good place for a rattlesnake. It's nice and cool, and they lay right underneath those. So be very careful.
Ron bought me a steak snake.
Are bad for. We were helping us mow a cemetery one time, a family cemetery, and killed 3 copperheads in just no time. So.
Yeah, they like those
I'm
rocks.
not friendly. I'm not.
Ron bought me a snake stick, and it's basically a golf club with a hook on the end of it. Because I go into the cemeteries not so I can catch a snake, but I can flip those tombstones over without sticking my fingers up under them. When they'll fall over. So I'm wielding my stick out in the cemetery.
Grasses, what some people like. Their grass turns. They say it turns ternally brown at the end of the year. It looks pretty, but and there's different type of soil and no soil. We have a lot of places where the topsoil is pretty much gone on the side of ridges. They've had some success in Copper Hill. So if you can grow anything in Copper Hill, you should be able to grow something in Bradley County. Any ideals there, Kim?
Good grass for this area.
Good grass for the area. Well,
get your soil tested.
Well, that's always true with anything that we do, because what that does is that gives you a benchmark of what to start with. You can look at soil, I can look at soil, and we could both guess at what it is and texture and everything, and we could both be wrong. So, just because it looks good doesn't always necessarily mean that the pH is correct and there's phosphorus and potassium and micronutrients there for good plant growth. growth. So soil testing is always a great way to start. It's best $7 you'll ever spend. I mean, on anything that you do, is any project. Then you decide whether you want a cool season grass, a grass that stays green pretty much all year round, or whether you want a warm season grass, and those are Bermuda and Zoysia and are the typical ones that we have. And they'll green up after the first frost, which is sometime in May, last of April, 1st of May, and then they'll turn brown when the first frost hits in the fall. And so those are your choices. Warm season grasses are a lot more durable. They can stand a lot more traffic. So if you got kids running around in the yard or playing or doing sports or things like that, a warm season grass is a lot better. That's what most of our athletic fields are. Cool season grasses, again, can't stand as much traffic, but they're pretty in the wintertime too. So
do you have to mow them more?
No, but your mowing height has a lot to do with the types of grasses that you have. You want to mow Bermudas and Zoysias closer to the ground because that turf is more dense. With fescue, we want to mow it taller. That way we have less weed problems. A lot of folks say, well, I got a lot of weeds in my yard. Well, all you got to do is raise your mower height on your lawnmower a little bit. It shades the ground a little bit more, and you don't have those weeds that germinate and grow.
But it's really hard. We live in the shade, so we fight the grass battle. So we're trying to do more native beds, because growing grass in the shade is just almost, it takes a lot more work. You think, and beds are a hard work. You've got to weed them. So you hear on like H&G TV, they talk about they want a, trouble-free landscape. There is no such animal.
I want that. Yeah, I like to go out and plant it. It looks beautiful. Then, darn it, I want it to stay that way. I don't want to do nothing else. I just want it to, I say, boy, look at that. Isn't that pretty? And then a week later, like there's weeds in there and there's dead flowers. I'm going, no. And I get mad at it. So.
I end up with an orange thumbnail during the summer where I pinch the tops off of the old dead marigolds. Let's mention, Ron, that the Museum Center at 5 Points has a Civil War exhibit right now, and I have not seen it myself, but I understand it's really good. And it's from, like, the state archives, and it's common people in uncommon times. And then also we have to say congratulations to Lewis Lee. Lewis called in last week on our show and was talking about being entered in the Lookout Wild Film Festival, and he won for the Southeastern Division. He was talking about the pollution that used to be in Chattanooga, how it cleaned up and it turned into the river park and all the wonderful things that are in Chattanooga now. Now, we already know that story, but I think it would be a really fascinating story for folks that maybe didn't live here. But we thought the funniest thing was Walter Cronkite. He had an actual movie clip from the 1960s that says, the dirtiest place in America is Chattanooga, Tennessee. But they had a map of Tennessee behind him, and Chattanooga was dead in the center at the bottom.
Lynchburg. It was over at Lynchburg, and everybody in the room just died laughing. Let's get
It
this
was so
call.
funny.
Good morning, live on Old Town Cleveland.
Ron?
Yes.
Hey, this is Rita Harris.
Hey, how are you?
Just leaving town on my way out of town, and happened to think I need to call you about the reunion. It's April the 12th.
Right.
At the Valley Barn on Eureka Road.
And tell us which reunion that is now.
That's Bradley High School, class 68, 69, 67, 68, 69.
All right. So that's the last, let's see, wouldn't have been the last, that was the 68. The last senior class was 72. That's the one I'm in.
Okay.
These folks went to the high school the whole time at the old Bradley.
That's right.
As they call it, the only Bradley.
Yeah, this is right. Only Bradley.
That's true. True.
Who all did you graduate?
We've got about 100, 150 people. I hope it's going to show up. There's a $5 cover charge, and want everybody to bring their own picnic lunch. And there's 40 acres over there, private lake, hiking trails, paddle boats. It's a beautiful place, and everybody's going to have a great time. Some of us haven't seen each other in 25-plus years.
Where is the barn exactly?
The Valley Barn's on Eureka Road.
Up there at the
it's Caldwell's. Okay, Caldwell place.
The old Caldwell asphalt paving place.
Yeah.
All right.
Remodeled the barn, and they rent it out for different functions, and it's beautiful.
And they have a beautiful old cabin there too, the old Carter cabin.
Yeah, it's 200 plus years old, and it's on the property. And they just keep adding more things to it. There's a real nice gazebo that's got decks that go way out into the lake.
Saw my son swim the length of that big old lake one day, and I was wondering at what point his mama was going to have to jump in and save him, but I didn't.
Reba, you need to contact me Monday. We need to get you and a couple of your classmates to come in here next Saturday and just talk about that.
Okay. Yeah, Tommy Standridge and David McCamus and I are going to be doing a little bit of music. It's going to be great.
Well, I'd like to see David. I hadn't seen David in a while. We'll talk Monday and see if we can arrange you to come in here and be our show next Saturday.
Okay.
All right.
That's great.
Thanks, cuz.
There you go.
Thanks. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Everybody else needed to get in on that horse faster, didn't they? All right.
The composting.
We love the reunion shows.
There's some great lives told.
It's when I can't even remember who it was, but there was a bat in the building at the old Bradley.
It was
Johnny
Hooker.
And the principal, he said, I got 22 at home. The principal said, yeah, go get it. So he was in the hall of old Bradley shooting the bats. Now I'm thinking, we can't do fun stuff like that anymore.
No. And I don't think he ever hit it either. The holes were still there.
I get birds in my house. I get them out. I catch them with towels.
There you go. At school, we'll chase them till they get tired, and then we'll.
Composting. That's something that no matter what you're growing, and I watched some composting, some slides the other day, and I sit there and going, gosh, I've seen that so many times that things you do. But let's talk about composting, how you can compost at home and how it will help your plants, whether it's vegetables, trees, flowers, or weeds. It'll help all of them, right? Or some compost will keep the weeds down, will it not? Unless you're planting weeds.
Yeah, they're both sitting here shaking their head yes at each other.
Depending on what what crop you're putting it on or anything. The key with compost is that you're adding organic matter, and that's one of the key components that is missing from a lot of our soils,
right,
because of erosion you mentioned earlier. And the other thing is that our soils that we have here were formed here. They weren't deposited like some of the, everybody talks about the black soils of Illinois.
We could have
and
something up along the river.
We could, in West Tennessee. Yeah. Now in West Tennessee, there's some of those that were deposited during the Ice Age. Yeah. But
I tell you, if you want to see some pretty soil right now, you need to go down close to Easley Ford. The sheriff down there has the whole farm turned up,
right,
and you can just see where the mineral deposits stop on the opposite side of the hill from the river, and I went through there yesterday, and somebody's been down there doing some serious plowing.
Well, some of those soils there were probably washed in because that's the floodplain. Yes, absolutely.
But then when you get on the other side of the hill, you can tell the dirt's a different color, but it still looks wonderful and red and rich.
And we don't know how many, a million years ago, we don't know how big Consolidated River was, or Hiwassee River, or Tennessee River for that matter. But those soils were, could have been washed in, and that's where you get a good type soil there.
Now your natural soil, that the darker the soil, the better. Don't mean it has everything in it, right?
Test your soil.
Test, yeah.
That's the answer to all the questions.
Normally, that would be a a good assumption. Correct.
And if you've got worms in it, worms are good aerators of the soil, and that you always want earthworms in your soil.
And they eat stuff and they poop, and that makes your plants grow.
Okay, I'm going to ask the question everybody at home's thinking: is a certain kind of manure good for a certain kind of plant? Do you put chicken manure where you're going to grow strawberries, or do you put?
No, I don't think there's one that's probably any better than others. Certain ones will tend to burn the plants less.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, the nitrogen level.
The chicken manure will burn things.
It will. It's because the available nitrogen is there.
And be careful when you're getting any of the manures. Make sure that they're aged, because if you put
or composted.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yes.
You've got to let that stuff decay.
Right. a composted cow manure or horse manure or rabbits or anything composted is a lot better than putting a fresh out of the barn chicken house, whatever, on the plants.
When I was a young boy, several times my dad and I went and we shoveled it into the trucks out of the chicken houses, then I had to shovel it out of the truck back on the yard. And boy, did our yard stink. And I said, I never knew if that done any good or not, because my yard was black with chicken poop all over the yard for a month, you know.
But then it grows. It really does, yep.
Well, it sure did smell strong those first 2 or 3 days.
I know that my dad would add it to water and then put the water on the plants.
The compost tea is really good. You know, I have a barrel composter that I use for my kitchen trash. You know, and then I've got plenty of leaves, so I take all my kitchen stuff up there and put in it, and just grab leaves and put in it. Because all my green that I put in there is my anything out of my produce, lettuces and all that. I keep a counter composter in the kitchen, and then when it gets full every day, tea bags, coffee grounds, all that stuff.
Yeah,
and
we need to do more of that.
And
we did one year, and I got a garbage can, drilled some holes in it, put some newspapers, black ink only, and then put some other little soil in it, and I mixed that. And I did that for a year, and I think I got a bucket of compost.
One of our master gardeners is really into vermiculture. This is the worm castings.
Yes.
And I really want to try to get into this because it's amazing, and you use the shredded newspaper there in the kitchen scraps. So if you don't want to, deal with the composter, you can feed your worms.
And Ron, depending on where you are, you can make a compost pile very easily. Now, again, depending on where you are in the city, or you don't want to build anything but you can use wood pallets, you can use concrete blocks, you can use wire to hold it in. We've got one out at the county cannery on Peerless Road. They've just got a pile. There's nothing. It just it's there.
You just have to chase it. The only thing the container is just to keep it closer.
Absolutely,
right?
and
you have to turn it.
Aeration is a key, absolutely. To keep that thing turned, it'll work a whole lot quicker. The microbes that break that stuff down really like a lot of aeration, and they'll make it. You'll get compost a lot quicker by aerating.
A good experiment is we brought some just black bags of leaves home one year from somewhere from Gatlinburg. We have a place and I just brought them home because we have tons. Anyway, brought them home, just laid them up in the woods, and just go up there and turn them over. And that was, I had the best compost out of just leave them in the black bags because they get really hot in those black bags.
Now,
and they can almost catch fire.
Dirt here, and I asked this question in the classes. So, when we put that 10-10-10 on there, is our soil going to get better? And the answer is actually no. It will hold those nutrients and help things grow, but the soil won't get better without composting.
Correct.
And composting in the forest happens naturally. The leaves fall, they rot, bugs die, animals poop, all that adds, and that's why the soil. When you go dig up soil in the forest, just see it's so rich looking sometimes.
Smells
in your grass out there, that's never going to get any better unless some of the plants die in compost. That'll help a little bit, right?
Well, it depends on what you do to your yard. If you collect the clippings from your lawn, then you're not returning any organic matter back to it. If you don't collect them, then, you will have some decomposition. You'll also develop a thatch layer that you need to go in and remove periodically, depending on how often you mow and what type of grass you have. Because that thatch layer, a lot of times if it dries out, it'll keep water and other things from penetrating down where it needs to go. So you need to kind of work the top of that soil a little bit occasionally and get that thatch layer off there.
So if you have a vegetable garden or a flower garden, and the natural earth, you just went out there and you got your tiller or whatever you did, and you planting flowers, then you can fertilize it and it will help your plants grow. But that soil's not going to get better unless you return something back into the soil.
If you amend it with the compost.
Right.
And, we have 3 or 4 compost piles of leaves that we just, this year's, last year's, whatever. And we, just keep those turned. and take the tractor or whatever you've got and just add those to your beds.
So you rake up all your leaves, put them in your flower bed at the end of the season.
I put them. We have a compost pile, and then.
But if you want to just turn your garden center over, you just turn that in there.
You could just
helps,
turn
right?
that. You could just turn that over into the
decay, and then the worms will get in there. And then on the stuff you compost for the kitchen, you can't be any meats.
No
right?
meats, no dairy, just produce. Coffee grounds, tea bags, eggshells.
And then any of your lettuce.
Oh yeah, all your produce.
And Ron, if you're going to do a compost pile like that and use those, it's about a 30-to-1 ratio is what you want. The browns, which would be the leaves, the grass clippings, those sorts of things, versus your kitchen waste or other things that you add to it. About a 30-to-1 ratio.
And if you're using like an above the ground composter like a bin, you need to add some. Especially when you first start it, you need to moisten it. Moisten the leaves. When you put them in there, because it's going to have some moisture to make that start to decay.
And if you have a horse, scoop it up and throw it in there.
That's right.
Cows or rabbits, as you say, and so that. And yes, that does sound nasty, but at the same time, that's just nature, and that's the soil. Go up to the Amish farm. They use all horses, and they collect every drop that falls out of those horses.
That's all organic, Ron.
Oh, yes.
That's the good thing about it. It's organic fertilizers. And we throw the word organic around a lot, and a lot of times and Johnny's mentioned using pesticides. A lot of times we maybe don't do things that would be certified organic, but another term that's used a lot is naturally raised or homegrown type products that are grown, not in a commercial setting. So, naturally raised is another one.
We've talked to some of the people that are at the farmers market, and they don't. It's naturally raised, but they aren't certified organic because it's expensive to be certified as an organic. But there's one couple over in Decatur that we talked to, and they're all naturally grown, but it is very expensive to be certified as an organic grower.
Okay, I'm always the ADD kid that's talking about something y'all aren't talking about. Okay. But today at 1 o'clock at the Cherokee Removal, let me try that again, Cherokee Removal Memorial Park, which is the old Blythe Ferry. They're going to have a presentation at 1 o'clock, and I've heard this lady speak. Her name is Maria Matthews, and she'll be talking about the old Brainerd Mission, and they would like for you just to come over and visit the park and hear her speak at 1 o'clock today. I think it's Tuesday, and I'm not sure of the time, but you could call the Cherokee Removal Park in Meigs County and find out. But I think that the ladies from Charleston are going to be showing the presentation from the National Park Service, where we're going to be designated as a place on the Trail of Tears, and we're going to have walking trails and all that stuff in Charleston. If you missed that presentation, you can go up to Blythe's Ferry this week and see that. Also, Charleston Calhoun Historical Society on April the 13th, that's a Sunday, they have gotten out and worked in the old Calhoun cemetery up there. It's a huge cemetery. There's people from pre-removal times in that cemetery, but they have found like 5 War of 1812 soldiers. Nobody really knew who they were. They just had plain markers. Well, the DAR is going to come and mark those graves on Sunday afternoon, April the 13th at 2 p.m., and that's usually really something to see. They usually have bagpipers and all that kind of stuff. And what wonderful thing that the history has been found on those people that served our country.
The Master Gardener program, when this national park thing starts in Charleston on that walkway, it'd be a good chance for us to, say, develop native plants along the way that say this was here when the Cherokee were here.
Exactly.
And have some. And
we are going to mark the plants, so Johnny, that'll be a great thing for you to help us with.
So just something.
It's going to be so exciting. They're going to have a walkway that's going to go from over where the high school's at down to the boat ramp and maybe beyond on out towards Browns. It's going to be a really good thing for our community and for the history. It's the most historic place in America that's not marked.
Yeah.
Now, if Deb tells you if you go on the Trail of Tears along that way, there's signs out there that says you're 380 miles from Charleston. Because it says that's where the trail
started at Fort Cass.
But there was never a sign that said this is mile 0 or where
this
we
is where
started
they
at.
started.
That's amazing.
And so we're getting our signs after all these years.
That's going to be tremendous for us.
That's because Melissa Woody at the Chamber of Commerce and Darlene Goins and a whole bunch of people at Charleston just refused to take no for an answer. And they stood in line for 5 years to wait for the Park Service to get here. The Park Service shook their head and said, yes, you're right.
In Bradley County, we're 40, 50 years late, but
We're
we're catching there. In our class, we have a couple guys who are doing it's not hydroponics, but it's a form of hydroponics. They're growing fish and plants all in the same ecosystem.
It's called aquaponics.
Aquaponics.
Mhm.
Yeah, they are.
Mathis?
Mathis.
Mathis
Steve
family.
and Sandy Mathis.
And then Jonathan Gann sitting next to me.
Jonathan.
He's
into that,
has
too.
bought just a small system. And they're starting just right now.
So how's that different from the system we have at our house?
Well, what the difference between theirs is, on the bottom is the fish, and the fish poop.
You're right.
And then that minerals get pumped up into the plants.
We did a class on
And
that
that-
at UT last summer at one of our schools. They did a presentation about that, and it's really interesting.
Yeah, but so you grow fish for food, and then you grow.
Remember years ago, you probably remember when they had the leaf
waste
lily
from-
in the
Yes,
the
the
fish.
fish. Yeah,
That's
same-
basically the
okay.
same
There's
concept.
oxygen and
Yeah, I've done hydroponics where basically you buy the fertilizer of stuff and you put it in the water, and then every so often it pumps up into
the plant.
and it doesn't feed on the dirt, which stuff doesn't feed on dirt.
Right. There's
You know,
very
that
little
people
dirt.
said no, the dirt is just where the minerals happen to be.
nutrients, yeah.
And you'll see a different root system in a hydroponics than you will, because they don't have to go out and find the food.
Ron, while you're getting this call, let me tell everyone that Fro Daddy's playing tonight up at Grumpy's. Dumpy's up on 64 Highway. It's 2 miles past the 411 crossing. Starts at 9 p.m. and he'd love for everybody to come up and party with him.
That's at Dumpy's, not Grumpy's.
That's at Dumpy's, not Grumpy's.
All right. Good morning, live on Old Town Cleveland.
Yes. Do y'all have an extension officer in there with y'all?
We
Sure do.
I've got a question for him.
Go right ahead. Shoot it at him. His name is Kim.
In my yard, I've got, it looks like ants. They bore to the top of the ground and leave a little powdery mound, and I'm not exaggerating, it is by the millions. It has taken my yard over. It's like a dust bowl when I try to mow, and I've put everything out from what old timers suggest to the co-op, and I can't kill it.
What is that, Kim?
What that may be?
Mound's about as big around as what? Baseball, softball, something like that?
No, sir, about as big as your thumbnail.
Oh, really?
Yes, and I've dug down with the shovel, and I've never saw an ant. I've never saw any kind of bug. Well, a few bugs, but none that would be, like in the millions. The only thing that I've really seen is little, like earthworms.
Got a hole? Is there a hole in the ground? How big's the hole that?
Oh, it's tiny.
Okay.
Tiny.
So it's like, but it's not it's where an ant, not a bigger insect, maybe has come out.
Yes,
Okay.
It actually looks like an ant boring, but I've never saw an ant, not one.
That sounds like to me there's something else that's not an ant. I don't know. I can't think of what would make a hole. I mean a
small
spot
mound.
on the
Can you
on
take
your
a picture
soil that way.
and bring it by?
Well, I did talk to. You was gone one day to Chattanooga for a seminar or something.
Okay.
And she told me to take a picture and bring it by. And the best picture that I can get is with a tablet, and I don't know how to get it off. I just have to bring the tablet.
No, just give me a call first of the week, and I'll come out. I'd like to see what.
Yeah,
that
and then
way
Kim
we
needs
can,
to get back to us and let us know what it is.
Yeah, we can come out and look at it and see what it is. Just give me a call 728-7001.
001.
728-7001.
Okay, I'll sure do it, and I
Okay.
really appreciate your time.
Sure enough.
You. Somebody online wants to know how you get rid of ground ivy. It has runners and it bogs down and smooths out the grass.
2 ways.
Go ahead, tell us.
Move off and leave it, or die off and leave it.
Or you can burn it.
It will, but it's really
it's
difficult to
So
get
learn
rid
to
of.
love it. Is that what you're
Well,
saying?
there is some herbicides that you can use, but they're
bad.
pretty damaging to everything
just
that's
live
there.
with it.
Pull it.
It is. It's really hard. You can pull it out. You can do some things, but you got to get all those roots and rhizomes and everything because it spreads underneath the ground, and it's a really
bad
hard one.
Go ahead, caller.
Yes, I was calling in to see if someone there today could maybe know anything about the Ramp Festival in Greasy Creek.
The Ramp Festival, I don't know. It usually happens in April.
Right.
And I haven't heard anything yet this year.
But there is a festival this weekend up at G Creek. It's Oklahoma.
Yeah,
It's
I think so.
Ocoee and Hiawassee, but I can't say what it is. They're doing different things up there, and Leon Bates, a naturalist, wildflower guru, is up there, and it's going on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at G Creek.
Yeah, and the Ramp Festival, I think like on Thursday or Friday, they'll actually go up into the mountains and dig the ramps. And then on Saturday morning, they have ramps and eggs.
Okay,
and
I got it.
Pinto beans.
I looked it up on the internet here. It's the 2014 Ramp Tramp Festival will be April 23rd through the 26th. So it's at the end of April.
Okay, thank you so
We'll
much.
see you there. Bye-bye.
I know we were talking about, was it azalea bushes or what were we talking about? If you don't, no, not azalea.
Hydrangea.
No, the big tall ones that they talk to say if you trim them, you have to trim the rest of your life. Remember?
Crepe myrtle.
Crepe myrtle. Boy, that
Yeah,
just
we
left
need
me.
to do
Crepe
that.
myrtle.
No, you don't.
No, you
No,
don't.
you don't.
Well, it's getting over on top of the house, though.
Well,
But
cut
when you
that
do it,
limb
it's
off that gets up.
go get that one. But once you trim it, you got to trim it more next year, and
It
then
makes
more the
some
next year.
what our tree guy says is go in and prune out some of the limbs, but don't you see them all over town. They're
Where they just
cut
come.
off.
Okay, no,
That's
we
called
just
crepe
trim
murder.
Crepe
You know.
You go back to the soil surface and take those limbs out. That if you've got one that's going towards the house, go back to the ground.
Go
and
way to the
take it
ground,
out.
take that
Don't,
one- those
Don't
limbs
bob
out.
it off up
Because it
head
makes them
high or
weaker.
something.
It makes them a lot weaker.
Going back to the ramps, which is a little thing like an onion, on Wednesday, April the 23rd, they'll have the digging of the ramps. On Friday, and if it rains on Wednesday, they go on Thursday to dig the ramps. And on Friday, anybody that'd like to come from 10 to 3 to help prepare the ramps, which sounds like a good thing for some of our folks to do, that's when they do that. And then on Saturday is
That bluegrass music
they
all
have-
day,
yeah,
and
the
people cooking
admission
live
is
soap.
free, and if you want to eat, it's $8 for grown up. And I will tell you that when we went, they have fried ramps and eggs with fried potatoes, streaked meat, white beans, and
Stricken
cornbread.
meat.
Okay,
Was
well,
stricken.
I'm trying to read from a distance here, and cornbread with a drink for $8, $4 for kids, and it was a massive plate full of food.
They probably call it streak meat, but it's stricken meat. Go ahead, caller.
Rod, you think I could get Bob Cash to go to that ramp with me?
There you go, and you could dance and eat beans at the same place.
Right.
And you could bring some of your liquid corn with you.
Right.
Well, let me suggest something.
Oh no!
Hire a bodyguard.
A bodyguard?
Yeah.
I believe Red.
He may need one. Okay.
Thanks, Red.
Pray for me. I'm praying for him.
There you
Well,
go.
it just that's true. Okay, Red.
Thanks,
we'll-
Red.
We'll get him. We'll get that set up.
Okay.
Well, thank you guys for coming into our annual It's Time to Start Planting Something show. And we try to do this every year, and we didn't even talk about mold on the maters this year.
No,
That's
we'll-
usually always a hot topic on this day.
We'll do that later on during the growing season. If you,
You
have
know-
a time, we'll talk about the diseases and the insects and everything because we're going to have plenty of them probably.
Yeah, and like I
so
say,
always do.
I will be a master gardener, and I will say get your soil checked.
Get your
you
soil
go.
checked. That's
Hey.
the answer to everything. But I was so happy for our farmers last year that there was the seasons that we had very little rain, and they only got one cutting of hay, and it was so hard on them. But last year it seems like everybody put up lots of hay and got to sell a little bit of it off, and so I think last year was
Not like
good
the
year.
drought. What was it, 2007, 8? The
Rough.
drought was
It
bad.
was
and
rough.
Those guys were selling their cattle because they just couldn't buy hay.
Right.
It was unbelievable.
Right. And right now, cattle prices are great. We see it at the grocery store when we go to purchase, but at this point, some of our producers are getting probably the best money they've ever gotten.
I don't mind if I feel like that little farmer's getting some of that money, but I think for years
and it's time.
they weren't getting very much of the profit.
All right, one native plant that everybody ought to have in their yard. What would you get?
Trilliums.
Trilliums.
Mm-hmm. And you can actually replant them.
Mm-hmm. Jack in the Pulpit's a good one. Sorry,
Okay.
It's hard to just pick one.
And now, if you don't know how to dig up a trillium or anything about it, go by the extension agency. Tell us again where it is.
It's at 95 Church Street Southeast, 1 block off of Inman and a couple blocks down from the courthouse, 1 block east and 2 blocks south.
For us old-timers, go to the Teddy Bear and go down 2 doors, and it's on the left, 2-story building.
We also have Solomon's Seal in our yard, and we have wild ginger,
wild
too.
ginger, Mayapple. There's so many good. We have a good area.
I learned all this when my kids had to do wildflower collections.
7th grade at Bradley Junior High is where I became interested in wildflowers over 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So thank whoever did wildflowers.
Deb is really good at it in there. I can tell you, in that building was where I give my 4-H speech. I won at Oak Grove Elementary, and I got to go up to the next level. I talked about John Wilkes Booth.
The one thing I like to see this time of year is I was out driving in the country yesterday, and you see where the old buttercups used to lead up to somebody's door, and you can always tell where the old home places were because the buttercups do not go away when the buildings go away. And I was really tickled to see them. Well, folks, thank you so much for tuning in every Saturday and being with us. Go on YouTube and see our music video. It's called It's a Dirt Track Life. Be our friend on Facebook, and we'll see you back here next week at 10 a.m.
You can go to our website, oldtowncleveland.com.
We got it back up and running.
And you can go there and you can see about the documentary. Or if you want to see these programs, we have a list of them there, and it's got the address, URL. You copy that, put it in there, and you can see programs back through last year and this year. So about Tuesday or Wednesday, this show will be on YouTube. So it'll be up, and so you can see it again and again. And so if you need to know about gardening questions, can't remember that telephone number, you can listen here. We tell people every week is that it's not history until you write it down, folks. You've got to get those old pictures from out of the drawers and the shoe boxes. Get your grandparents, your mom and your dad, your aunt and uncles to tell you who's in those pictures and why it's taken, and then share those pictures with people, because you'd be surprised how special your grandfather may have been someone's best friend or mentor, or that he ran a store that they shopped at as a kid. All these bring back great memories. We'll always remember about Pearl Harbor, but Deb?
Everybody say it with me, but will we remember Aunt Pearl?
That's right. So you got to do that. We'll see you next week here on Old Town Cleveland.
You are listening to WOOP-LP, Cleveland, Tennessee. WHOOP FM is a broadcasting service of the Traditional Music Resource Center, and we play America's original music.
Where'd the old town go? They moved it all north of here in a shopping mall.
Wheeler Technologies has moved. Visit them at their new location at 490 Grove Avenue Southwest next to Bradley Rental.